Good morning. What was that? I have a frog in my throat. Good morning. Good morning, Jane D. I like that name. Becky, Christy, Diane. Good morning. I'm going to wait for some people to join. I still have a couple of minutes before it's starting. I love you, Kayla. I feel hot in the sweatshirt. I don't know if I can handle it. I'm trying to show y'all what the sweatshirts look like. And I didn't buy t-shirts. I bought sweatshirts. I'm kind of a sweatshirt kind of girl. I love when it's cold and you can wear a sweatshirt. And so this is what it looks like. See this one? Let me go get the purple one. Hang on just a second while I'm letting y'all join. See, it's not good. So don't order the purple. I just don't like the purple. I just feel like the writing's too dark and you can't read it. But this is the pink one. The pink one's cute. I like the pink one. But not so much the darker colors. You see what I'm saying? It's too dark. I thought about asking Jacqueline to maybe do a white outline so that you can see it with the darker colors. I'm just not a fan. But my purple watch would look good with my purple sweatshirt. And I'm fancy now because I have multiple bands. Thank you. You know who sent them. Thank you. Yes. Let's see. Let me see if I can do this. Y'all, I'm still learning how to do all this. Let me see. Okay, if I go to my notes. Let me see if I can do this. Y'all know I'm old. All right, maybe if I go here. Well, there I am. I'm live. Comment. Oh, Lord. I'm on my hair. Don't you hate hearing yourself talk? Okay, let me see if it works. If this works, I'm going to think I am somebody. I'm getting fancy. There's my website. You can click there and you can order the sweatshirts. But I don't think you can click up there. I don't know. Hopefully that'll work. Okay, let me see who's joined. I'm on fire, y'all. Hey, Cassie. I guess it's Cassie. I'm sure it's not Gary. Okay, let me turn my phone off. All right, today's the day for surgery with my dad. So I'm trying to get my thoughts and mind together because the past 24 hours has been a struggle bus for my dad. So I kind of want to talk about today about when other people get on the struggle bus and they won't get off the struggle bus and go to the regular bus, and how we handle it. I don't know. I feel like when you recognize that someone's on the struggle bus and you're able to be mindful of their feelings, I feel like you have to have therapy under your belt to notice that, because sometimes when people get on the struggle bus, it begins to be frustrating to people that are not on the struggle bus, because we're like, oh gosh, here we go, stressing out, like anxiety through the roof. And like, because what's happening right now is yesterday I tried to distract him, because you know how I tell you that when you're hang on, let me find my brush. I don't know where my brush is. Hang on just a second. I don't even know if I want to curl. I don't know where my brush is. Oh, it's right here. Okay. So what happens is yesterday I told you guys that when you find yourself not in a good place in your life, you're on the struggle bus, or you're having just not a good day, you woke up on the wrong side of the bed and you forgot to get back in the bed and roll up and get on the other side of the bed, it can be difficult. And so I tried to distract him by taking him to lunch. He loves to eat out. It's just something he loves. So we went to this place that we had never been yesterday. And we went to this it was a little mom and pop restaurant that we've never tried here in Coleman. And we went there yesterday, and he ordered food, like a meat and 2 vegetables. And when I tell you he ate 3 bites of his lunch, he ate 3 bites. Like literally, he ate 2 bites of peas. He did eat his roll, and he had probably 1 spoonful of mashed potatoes. And I'm sitting here going, oh, here we go. Here we go. And do you ever feel like that when someone's on the struggle bus and it's so frustrating to you, because you're like, in your head, you're like, really, we've got to go here, because you being on the struggle bus is causing me to be on the struggle bus, because you need to get off of it. And sometimes we as human beings find ourselves frustrated when we don't understand why other people are on the struggle bus. Okay. He's on the struggle bus because he's fixing to have surgery. And, you know, anytime you hear the word cancer, it's scary. I personally don't know how he feels, because I've never been in his shoes. I have no clue. And I have to say this because someone told me this. Someone commented on YouTube, and I was like, what? Do y'all know that Jimmy Buffett died from skin cancer? Did y'all know that? And I don't know if she knows what she's talking about, but that's what she told me. So anyway, I just thought that was kind of, I don't know. You just don't, you don't think about that. But anyway, so when he didn't eat a lot of lunch, I felt myself going, the next 24 hours are going to be a train wreck. Because what happens is, when he has this anxiety that overwhelms him, let me tell you where it comes from. Okay. When you have anxiety and it causes you to get on the struggle bus, majority of the time is PTSD. Like something's happened in your life that caused you to have a trigger that makes you get on the wrong bus, right? I don't know if you realize that or not, but that's just your Aunt Judy's opinion. Well, when my stepdad was a young boy, his uncle went in for some type of surgery, and Larry, my stepdad, was just a young kid. And what happened was his uncle died when he went under anesthesia. And as a young kid, can you imagine? I don't know what age he was, but can you imagine just for a second, how how scared as a child he must have been to know that Uncle John is having surgery, and then Uncle John died from the surgery. So he has got severe PTSD from the trauma of remembering that as a kid. So that has caused him to have severe anxiety when there's anything to do with the doctor. I mean, it can be something as simple as we're going for a checkup or going to renew medicine, and anxiety kicks in. Well, what his anxiety, everybody's anxiety looks different, okay? His anxiety and my anxiety, they look totally different. When I have anxiety, I don't know why I do this, but I will pick up the phone and call 45 people and tell them the same story. And every time I tell the same story, my anxiety level gets higher and higher and higher. Why I do that, it's almost like I'm looking for an answer for someone to tell me what to do with the situation, although I don't listen to anything they say because it's not what I want to do. It makes no sense. So I had to learn how to almost tie my hands when a situation happens, because I will pick up the phone and call a million people. That's just what I do. Makes no sense. Okay. Now, my dad's anxiety, that's what I do when I have anxiety. Like when there's a situation happening. Okay. My dad's anxiety is he starts pacing, he quits eating. It causes him to have an upset stomach. And so when he lives with me and he begins to pace, he'll go through the bedroom to the garage, back through the garage to the bedroom. I mean, he's going back and forth. And what happens is every time he goes in the door, you know how your dogs are so excited to see you every time you go in the door, even though you've only been gone for just 0.2 seconds? Well, the dogs go ballistic every time he comes in the door. It's like, dude, he just came in the door 2 minutes ago. Why are you going ballistic again? And it drives me insane. Okay. So what happens is my anxiety starts kicking in high gear because his anxiety is kicked in high gear. And that's what happens sometimes when someone else has anxiety, because our fuse is about this big and we don't understand how they handle their anxiety, right? Just as if what would happen with me. I hate to bring my kids into this, but it's the only way I know how to explain it. But what would happen is, like, my son, let's just say one of my kids would do something stupid. Okay, they're teenagers and they would do something just absolutely stupid. I would begin to call my stepmother. I would begin to call my dad, my mom, my brother. Let me tell you what Corbin did. Oh my gosh, wait till you hear this story. And I'd call my sister-in-law and my brother-in-law. And if someone was sitting here listening to me, they would be like, why are you calling 1,500 people saying the same thing over and over and over? But see, I do it in the privacy. So, like, no one is hearing. But then what happens, or what would happen, is my son, like, let's just say my brother would send Corbin a text message and go, why are you doing blah, blah, blah? Because my brother thought he was helping, right? And then my son comes in there and went, Mother, you're telling everybody my business. And I'm like, well, how, in my head, I would be like, how are people supposed to pray for you if they don't know what you're doing? Like, how am I supposed to cope with it? You see how, and then it would cause him anxiety because my anxiety was picking up the phone, calling everybody. And his anxiety would kick in high gear because now everybody knows his business because mom has a big mouth because she's calling everybody and their grandmother telling what Corbin did that weekend or whatever. You see? You see how my anxiety caused him anxiety? So anyway, with my dad, it's hard to control my anxiety when he's going in and out of the house 100 times. And last night, I cooked his favorite meal, and I did it on purpose because I wanted him to be okay. So I went out of my way. You know how yesterday in our video, I talked about showing someone you love them and telling them you love them in a different way. Well, what I was going to do is I was going to cook filet mignons, which I did. I went to the store, spent $80 on filet mignons, made baked potatoes and salad, and I began to grill myself, cooking him dinner because I wanted him to know I loved him and it's going to be okay. And what happened was his anxiety caused him to have a stomach ache and he didn't eat at all. And what happened was I was like, I'm sitting here trying to give you comfort to know that you're fixing to go into, surgery. And I fixed you this meal. I spent $80 on steaks and you're not going to eat, is what I was thinking in my head, right? I was like, really? Like, really? We're going to do this? So he did not eat at all yesterday because he's sitting here worrying about his surgery. And then it got me in all left field because I was going out of my way to make him feel comforted. Now, first of all, when you put yourself out there to do something different, like I talked about yesterday, when you put yourself out there to go, okay, today I'm going to tell my wife I love her. Like I was listening to my Aunt Judy, and she said to tell my wife I loved her in a different way. So today I'm going to go buy $100 worth of steaks and I'm going to grill her a steak. And what happens is expectations begin to go into your mind because you're thinking, okay, she's going to be so excited and she is going to be just like so appreciative and all this stuff. Because what happens is we, in our brains, when we begin to do something nice for somebody, we have expectations of how they're going to react to what we're doing, because what we're doing is so nice, right? It's so nice of us to go and spend $100 on buying them steaks. I almost said snakes. Buying them steaks and showing them that we love them. And then when we don't get the response that we need, because we're doing it for a reason, when we don't get the response that we need from them, then we just go, I ain't doing nothing for you no more. I go out of my way to buy you steaks and you're just coming home all, you see what I'm saying? And it's because we're giving with an expectation that someone's going to act a certain way when we do what we do for them. And expectations get you in trouble. So, like, you know how in the Bible it talks about giving with a joyful heart? It doesn't say give with expectations that they're going to do 4 back handsprings and a back tuck when you give them whatever it is. And see, Judy, like when I want Shane to do something for me or I do something for him, when I go out of my way for Shane, majority of the time, I find myself setting up expectations of how he's going to respond to what I do for him. I do it every time. And I tell myself, okay, Judy, don't have any expectations. But what I want him to do, and I don't know if you're like me, but when you do something for someone like you do, you want them to go, oh my gosh, this is the best thing ever. You want them to get so excited and be so appreciative. And like I said, like I want Shane, when I give him something, I want him to go outside in the front yard and do 3 or 4 back handsprings and end with a back tuck, and him to be so excited that I did this for him. And his reaction is not like that. And then I'm over here going, see if I do anything for him again, piece of crap. You know what I'm saying? I ain't ever going out of my way for him again, because he just, like, all he said was thank you. Really? That's all he said was thank you. But see how I set up the expectations that he was going to be like ripped up, because this is how I am. I'm very expressive, right? Because that's just my personality. So, like, when someone does something for me, I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm very dramatic. Like, I'm over the top. I'm like, this is the best present of my entire life. Oh my gosh. I cannot believe. Oh, I'm so excited. Like, that's me. Shane ain't like that. Shane doesn't have the personality that I have. Shane's like, thank you. And I'm like, dude, that's it? And he's like, what did you want me to say? Shane, like, I need you. And I say this to him. I'm like, listen, when I give you this gift, and it becomes a joke because he knows how I am. But I'm like, I'm fixing to give you this gift, and I need you to go to the front yard and scream as loud as you can. Oh my gosh, my wife is so awesome for giving me this gift. And I need you to do a cartwheel, or like maybe a back handspring if you can still, maybe the splits, like do the back handsprings, end in the splits, and go, my wife is awesome. Like something like that. Could you like get real into it? So because that's what I'm wanting him to do when I do that. And so he's the funniest thing ever, because we laugh about it because we know what's fixing to happen when I do something for them. So he'll go, oh my God, Judy, thank you so much. And we will be in the floor laughing. And because he knows what I need. But I tell him what I need. I'm like, okay, listen, I need you to go really big with this one, Shane. I need you to be ripped up excited. Don't just say thank you, because that does not work for me. I need you to really like just run around the house naked like you're so excited. Something like give me something. But sometimes when you begin to make a joke out of what you need from someone, like it becomes hilarious. Absolutely hilarious, because he'll die laughing and I'm dying laughing. And when he's laughing at the response that I need and my expectations, it works. It absolutely works. It works. Like it fulfills my need because we're both dying laughing at what I need from him. Okay, with my dad, when I made him those steaks and he said, Judy, my stomach hurts and I can't do it. You know, it was a disappointment. It was a total disappointment. But how we handle other people is to be mindful. You know how, like, I don't know, your mama always told you that you need to get in their shoes. You know what I mean? You need to get in their shoes and quit seeing things from your side. This curling iron is the bomb.com. And it's a good preaching stick too, because I feel like the white brings your eye to the preaching stick, and know that, like, I mean, serious business, where the black kind of blended in. So I'm feeling like this is a good preaching stick. Anyway, so, you know how your mom told you to get in the other person's shoes? Because you've always heard that. You need to see things from my situation. And sometimes we only find ourselves seeing things from our own situation, because things that seem so silly to us, like Shane thinks it's very silly that I need him to do back handsprings into the splits with the dismount. When I give him something, it seems so silly to him, but it's what I need. And I think, why do I need that? Well, with my dad, and I have to get into his shoes and go, okay, because this is what, if you're the age of 70 and older, tell me if I'm right, because I could be wrong. But in my experience with like Shane's mother, my stepdad, and my grandmother, and like me dealing with a population of 70, and it seems like to me now, not everyone's like this across the board, but what's happening in our family is it seems like all they talk about is their doctor's appointments, their elements, like how they're like, I'm sick, or it's like worrying about death. Because my stepdad is so scared to die. And like, and I sat there last night and I was like, okay, Judy, 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 he didn't want your steak. It's okay. Like, it's okay. You can put it in Shane's lunch for tomorrow and you don't have to worry about Shane's lunch. And I did. And I thought in my head, why why did my grandmother and my stepdad and all like the older 70 and plus, and it may be 60, I don't know, I'm right there with y'all sometimes, but like you get focused on like it's the end of the world, like you're gonna like we're 70 now, the next step is death. And I thought, why do people focus on that? So I tried to do what my mom said and let me get into their shoes. So this is what I thought is at the age of 52, and I'll be 53 next year, you start like you don't just bounce out of the bed anymore, right? Like your body hurts, right? You don't move like you used to, and you can't do things like you used to. And it becomes depressing. And then people in their 70s generally have lost their parents, maybe have lost brothers or sisters, or, a lot of family members. And it's depressing. It's depressing to know I'm next. Like now I'm the older generation and I'm next. And I sit here and think about my own life and I think, here I am. I mean, I was in my 40s when I lost my mom and dad. And so, like, as I begin to approach my mid 50s, I'm like, I'm fixing to be that generation. Like, I'm fixing to be, in my upper, and it's going to be me next. And you find yourself focusing on, oh my gosh, my life's over. Mom's dead. Dad's dead. My kids don't come see me, because that happens. Because what happens is your kids have full-time jobs and your kids have their kids, and they're going to baseball and football and school functions, and they don't have a lot of time to come see mom and dad. And so I sit here and think about that, and I'm like, that is kind of depressing, like, because then you're thinking, they just gonna throw me in a nursing home, not come visit. And it's depressing. And I thought, we need to be more mindful of the older population, and whatever you want to call it. Because can you imagine just for a second what they go through? Like knowing that now they're the oldest in the family and the next step is death. And you're like, life went by so fast. And now it's my time. Now I'm the great grandmother, or I'm the grandmother, and now I'm the older population, and my dadgum body hurts. And every time I turn around, I'm having to go to the doctor. And my next step is someone taking care of me or going to a nursing home. Like, that is so dang depressing. So as I sat and thought about what they go through, and I'm approaching the they, and I'm like headed to they too, I thought, I need to be mindful of what my dad is going through. And instead of me sitting here getting mad that he's going in and out of the door and he's not eating and he's not like, and I'm comforting him the way I want to be comforted, and my way is not the right way for him. We have to, how I talk about like love languages and how you have to figure out what your loved one's love language is. I haven't figured out what my stepdad's is. The only thing that I can figure is he doesn't have kids of his own and he doesn't have any family at all. And I'm the only one in my family that has stepped up to help him. Like no one else is taking him to the doctor. No one else is letting him live with them. No one else is helping him with his bills. Like no one else is, dealing with the anxiety that he has and stuff like that. It's me. But I feel like he says to me all the time, and this is another thing that I thought about with the older population, is no one wants to be a burden. You know what I'm saying? They're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to be a burden to my kids or my grandkids. Like, I don't want to be that way. And what happens is you begin to lose your health, because you're getting older. And it's almost like all you think about in your head is like him. I'm just a burden to Judy. I'm just like, she has to stop Sneed's farmhouse because, I can't have field trips right now. And I've had to turn multiple people down for tours because I'm having to take him to the doctor. I had to tell the group home today, the group home that comes every Wednesday. I'm like, my dad's having surgery today, And so my life, yes, it is having to kind of stop because I'm having to take care of him. So the moral to this story is if there is an elderly, and if I step on toes by saying a 70-year-old's elderly, I don't mean it because I don't know how else to say it. So don't get mad at me for saying elderly, but if there is someone in your family that you sit here and go, all they talk about is the dadgum going to the doctor, their elements, their sickness. Like, if they do that, get in their shoes for just a minute. Get in their shoes for just a minute and imagine how they feel. Can you imagine? Like knowing that you're the next in line for death, or it hurts to get out of the bed. Like your arthritis my arthritis is terrible at 52. I can't imagine what I'm going to be like in my 70s. I'm probably going to be crippled. I'm like in my brain, I kind of like know that that's going to happen because a lot of times I can't even move my fingers in the morning. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, if I'm 52 and can't move my fingers in the morning, like what am I going to be like at 60? What am I going to be like at 70? Like it's just going to keep getting worse. And today I want to honor everyone that's older than me. I'm 52. So today's live is dedicated to you because you deserve a big crown on your head. You have raised your kids. You might have raised your grandkids. And now it's your turn for someone to take care of you. And I think instead of thinking, oh my gosh, my stepdad, I've heard him go in and out 100 times just while I'm sitting here on my live. He's been in and out of the bathroom 100 times because he's got his stomach upset. And I sit here and go, let me be him for just a minute. He has cancer. It may have spread. He's having surgery today. He has no family but me. And he feels scared to death. So I just feel like today live needs to honor those that are older than me, because where I don't understand everything that you're going through simply because I've not been there. I'm 52. I'm trying to be mindful of what you guys go through. Like the thought of um, watching, you've probably watched your best friends die. You've watched your family, your mom and dad die, your sisters, your brothers getting sick. And it is probably the most depressing thing in this whole world, is to sit and watch everyone that you loved and grew up with just start, their bodies start deteriorating and getting sick and going to nursing homes, and like family not coming around and feeling alone and feeling sad. And I can't imagine what you feel like. So today I want to be mindful of that, because it seems like it happens, more than we know. And like a lot of times, people like that sit and feel lonely because they're in their house all the time, and maybe they can't drive anymore, or maybe they are thinking about their future, going, oh, because I think in my head at 52 years old, Shane and I've talked about this a lot, is like, we better save our money. It's our damn kids ain't taking care of us. One thing about me is I didn't really realize that I must be a caregiver. It must be a blessing of mine. Blessing. No, what do you call it? It must be a God gave me the gift of being a caregiver. And I didn't really realize it, but back when my mother was sick, my mother lived 1 hour away from me, and I had small kids when my mother got sick. Like my kids were, Vanson was 6 months old, my youngest, and Corbin was like 1.5, 2 years old when my mom got sick. And suddenly my life totally changed because my mom was bedridden, and I'm in my 30s and my mom's bedridden, and no one knew what to do. As a matter of fact, when she was in the hospital when it was time to go home, we were like, what the crap are we supposed to, how are we supposed to get her in the house? My mom's bedridden. And I'm like, what are we supposed to do? None of us had no clue. And I don't know, my little caregiver self kicked in high gear. And I'm like, okay, we've got to widen the door to get her in, because my mom was in a hospital bed. And so I kept fearing, my mother lived in a double wide trailer. Okay. That was her house. And all I kept thinking about was, what if bad weather comes and mom has to get out of this house and she's bedridden? Like, how the crap are we going to get her out of the house for shelter if a tornado comes? And so my caregiver brain would kick in high gear, and I'm like, this is what we have to do. We're going to have to install bay doors. Is that what that's called? Where they open like this. So in the kitchen, my stepdad had to put in double doors that open like this so we could roll her hospital bed out onto the patio to get her out of the house if the house caught on fire and stuff like that. And like, I took care of my mom. I took care of all her finances. I was the one who would have to make her doctor's appointments, and mother had to go to the dentist or the doctor by ambulance because she was paralyzed and we couldn't get her in the car. And so like fighting with insurance to go, she needs her teeth cleaned. Like, please take her by ambulance. Like, I had to do all that. And then when she passed away, next thing you know, here I am taking care of my grandmother. And my grandmother, this is when I went through a divorce and I lived in an apartment. Okay. Me and my youngest son lived in an apartment. It was a 2-bedroom apartment. And my grandmother is a handful. Let's just put it like this. And so my aunt and uncle that lived with my grandmother would need a break. And my grandmother would need a break from them. So guess what would happen? My grandmother at 95, 96 years old would come live with me for 2 weeks out of the month. And literally, my grandmother would have to sleep in the bed with me. I mean, so it's almost like God gave me the gift of being a caregiver, but like, I'm like, I don't know why he gave me that gift because I have zero patience. I'm trying to be good at this, but my grandmother was Mother Mary is what I called her. My grandmother was very religious, like she was at church every time the doors opened. And when she got elderly, she became mean as a snake. Snake. And I was like, who is this lady? But she would literally come and live with me and Vanson for 2 months out of, or not 2 months, 2 weeks out of the month for the longest time until she got where she couldn't do it. And here I am now with my stepdad. And I'm like, what am I, the caregiver? Like, what the heck? And so I think about like what's going to happen to me when I get older. And I have boys. Boys don't know what to do. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I'm screwed when I get older. So I can see where someone that's of age, is worried about being a burden and worried about the things that they worry about because their life is changing and how scary it is to feel like that. So I just want you, if you have a mother or a dad that drives you crazy or, that you don't know how to deal with because they have A, B, and C problem and they, you don't understand because they struggle with this and it makes no sense to you that they struggle with this. Today, I want you to be mindful of your elderly family members. And I ask that instead of you focusing on how terrible it is or, how you don't understand them, I just say get in their shoes and look what they've been through. Because like I said with my dad, he's scared to death to go to the doctor. And it makes absolutely no sense to me. But when I'm mindful and I go do what my mom told me to do my entire life is look at a situation from somebody else's shoes, I can see why he's scared to death. I mean, he sat and watched his uncle pass away from going under anesthesia. I mean, can you imagine how detrimental that was to a child to go, well, Uncle such and such was going to have a kidney stone removed, and the next thing you know, he's dead. And, we don't think about those things happening because, first of all, anesthesia's come so far since those days, and it makes sense to us that are more rational minded to go, very few people die from anesthesia now. Like that was like back in the 40s. Like it's we've come a long way with medical stuff since the 40s. Like it's going to be okay. But you know how I talk about, I have to tell people that my animals are animals and they can have a bad day. Things can happen. And I feel like it's the same thing with medical is, you know what? He could die from anesthesia. I mean, it doesn't mean he can't just because we've come so far in medical world doesn't mean he can't. So, I mean, the fear that he has is real, and it's hard to think about for us because it seems so silly. Like, I don't worry about going under anesthesia. Like, I don't worry about that. I don't really worry about death. Like sometimes, like when you think about yourself dying, you're like, who would come to my funeral? You know what I'm saying? What would they say about me? Would they say that I was a good person? Like the person that's speaking at my funeral, what would they say about me? Am I making a difference in someone's life? Or would they say, oh, she is bitter as crab, she's mean as snakes, Oh my gosh, her anxiety, she was crazy as a Betsy bug, or what, sometimes you think about that. And I think that's normal to sometimes think about it, or think about, when I get older, I'm screwed because I got boys and they ain't gonna be able to take care of me. But then again, they probably step up to the plate. And I thought when I was having to do the enema thing, I thought, what would my kids do if I had to have an enema? My kids ain't coming nowhere near me. like I'm like, no. And I'm sure that's what my dad thought about me. It's like, oh God, Judy don't even know how to darn do anything. She can't give me an enema. She'll be hurting me. I'm sure he felt that way. Am I making sense? Are you a person, Becky, see, I just said that. Yes. I feel like if anybody took care of me, it would be my oldest kid. But see, I wouldn't want to live with him. And I've said this before. I guess because I have been a caregiver, you know how you have choices like what you want to do with your life. I truly think, I know not all nursing homes are nice. And I would hope that my family would find me, but sometimes you have to put them where you can afford, right? Because nursing homes are so expensive. But I'm not in the situation. So when we go live in 20 years, I might tell you something totally different. So don't hold me to this. But I think I would rather go to a nursing home than live with a family member. I've just seen nothing but disaster when family members live with each other. That's just me personally. I think I would rather go to a nursing home. And I told you guys, I think, and I might be wrong, but I think if I went to a nursing home, I think that I would be starting an aerobic program or a Bible study or something in the nursing home. I can see me doing this. Or, hey, I'm fixing to go live on social media. Do y'all want to be in the live? I can see me doing that. I don't see me just going, oh my God, my kids have put me in a nursing home. This sucks. I think if it was like a nasty nursing home, I probably would be bitter. But I think if they put me in the right place, I think I would enjoy assisted living. I think I would love that, because the assisted livings that I've seen, oh my gosh, you got your neighbors and they're all about the same age, and you're all dealing with, they play bingo and they do crafts and they have singing. I think that sounds fun to me. Shane's grandmother, lives in an assisted living. Y'all, it's so fancy. It is beautiful. And I'm thinking, oh, I could do this in a heartbeat. I could so do this in a heartbeat. But you know how sometimes you get so busy that, and this is for the younger people, but you know how you get busy with kids and life, and your mom or dad drive you crazy, and you just don't understand them because they're crazy, or you're like, they don't live their life like me. And I'll never, how we say this, right? I will never raise my kids the way my parents raised me. You know what I'm talking about. I will never put my kids through what my mom put me through. We say that. And then what happens is, as we get older, Our kids have PTSD from things that we did. And you're like, I did my very best. Wait, what the crap? Why do you have PTSD? I did my very best. And what I've learned as I've gotten older is every parent does the very best they can at the time they're doing it. Like, it's maybe not the right answers. Like, the parent, sometimes like divorce, for example, you're like, I never wanted to get a divorce because my parents were divorced. And here I am, got my kids in the divorce situation. And now me and their dad are in a fight over money and about the choices that I make. And, you find yourself right in the same thing that your parents went through. And you're like, I'm not doing that to my kid. I'm not gonna, fight. And like I said, when your kid gets older, their struggle with crap. My mother did this, and you're like, and when it's you and you're the mother, you're like, wait a minute, I did the very best I could do. Like, you shouldn't have PTSD from that because I literally, like, do you understand how hard it is to raise children? Like, I did the very best I can do. It cost a fortune, and I'm sorry that you had to do without, and you didn't have the designer jeans that your friends had at school. But let me just tell you, do you know what I was going through? I was doing the very best I could do. And your mom is saying the same thing. Your mom is looking at you going, I know I didn't make all the right decisions, but I literally did the best I could do. And you're like, that's the best you got? Like, that's the best you got. The way you raised me was the best you could do. And then your kid is looking at you going, that's the best you could do. And you're like, yes. At the time, you had no idea what I was going through. I was trying to, be positive because your dad left, and I was trying to make good decisions for you financially, even though I was a total train wreck. And your mom's looking at you going, me too. I was trying to do my very best. And maybe I didn't make the best decisions. None of us do. None of us do. But everyone has PTSD. We all do. And I feel like with the older population, your mother, your grandmother, believe it or not, maybe they didn't make the best choices. Maybe they were fighting some type of problem, with their, I don't know, maybe they had an eating disorder and they threw their eating disorder on you. Because a lot of times I think my eating disorder has spilled onto my kids because of the way they were raised, with me trying to live in the closet with my eating disorder. Now that I'm older, they can see the problems, but I was hiding it. Like, I was a good mom, I was doing the very best I could do. And my eating disorder was in the closet and they did not see it, and blah, 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 blah. And the bottom line is as parents, we do the very best we can do at the time we're doing it. And even though we didn't make the best decisions, every single one of us here, how many people's here? Let's just look. 93 people. Every single one of us did our very best. And our very best may not have been the very best, but at the time, we were trying. And we are all jacked up at the end of the day. Your every mother is, we don't always make the best decisions. And a lot of us have a lot of regrets about, I think sometimes, when my stepdad dies, oh gosh, I'm like, I ask myself, are you going to have any regrets? Yes. 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 Because I lose my patience. I get so frustrated. I get so frustrated because me and him are total opposites, like total opposites. He is not outspoken. He I'm very outspoken. So like his ways, like the way I was raised and the way he was raised are total opposites. And so there's a lot of things that he does that I don't understand. And then I lose my patience. Like, for example, what I'm talking about with this anxiety and pacing the floor when it comes to a doctor's appointment. And I ask myself often, are you going to have any regrets when something happens to him? And a lot of times I tell myself yes, because I found myself getting so frustrated. And I get frustrated because I feel like he doesn't dance. He sits it out every single time. He doesn't, he doesn't, he doesn't, like with a healthy person, you exercise, I talk about the things that make you balanced. You exercise, you drink your water, you try to make good decisions, you sleep properly because, if you don't sleep properly, it can cause health issues. And he doesn't do any, he doesn't drink, he drinks zero water. He doesn't eat right. He doesn't exercise at all. He doesn't work on spiritual and mental health. And it drives me crazy. It drives me crazy because I'm like, he needs to watch my lives because he sits it out every single day. And when someone sits it out, it makes me so mad. But what happens when I sit it out? Do I drive myself crazy? Oh no, I'm very gentle with myself when I sit it out. As a matter of fact, yesterday I didn't get out of my pajamas until like noon, and I was totally sitting it out. But I'm gentle with myself. But we can't beat ourselves up, right? We do the very best we can do at the time we're doing it. And I do my very best for the most part. I can't beat myself up and you can't either. But I'm just telling you today that your parents are not going to be here forever. Your grandparents are not going to be here forever. And if you just get in their shoes for 1 second and imagine what they're going through with waking up, with basically their body, as we get older, our bodies start deteriorating and we hurt, and it hurts that your family members don't come see you and all this stuff. And I just say today, I hope that you're mindful of the older population. And if your mom and dad's already passed away, I know there's someone that that needs some TLC. And even though you don't agree with their lifestyle or you don't agree with the choices they make in life, me neither. You ain't alone. I don't agree with what choices my stepdad's making in life. But at the end of the day, we're not them. And, how I tell you that we all struggle with something? Be mindful that their struggle maybe look different from yours, but their struggle is real. And maybe oh Lord, I think I need to empty this. Even though their struggles look different from you, they're real and they're not going to be here forever. Give them some love, and hang on. But don't be like your Aunt Judy and give them love expecting something in return. Because what you're expecting in return, if you set up expectations, you're going to be hurt. And you're going to be like, you don't understand. My mother's different. Hey, my mother's mean as a snake. Yeah, mine was too. Okay. Yes, I do understand. Yes, I do. Hang on. I love this lipstick, y'all. Kylie. And no, I'm not getting paid by advertising their lipstick. but I really like it. And it has a cute bottle. Look, I'm all about that. See how I don't have to put on mascara? I'm really, really liking this. But I feel like I should put my hair up because I'm going to be sitting in a doctor's office all day long. Because they said that we will be there. We have to be there at 11. And we have to be there basically all day. So it's going to be a late nighter for me. I want to know. Let's see. So yesterday I said to tell someone you love them in a different way. And I say today, how we have to have little goals for ourselves every day. Call your mom and dad, your grandmother. They're on the struggle bus, I promise you, trying to figure out, and they're not perfect. And they struggle. They might have something they're addicted to, and it seems impossible for you to, you're like, I don't want to have anything to do with them. You know what? At the end of the day, what you're responsible for is yourself. You're not responsible for their actions. You're responsible for your own actions. And family is important. It is, because when your family's gone, it's really sad. And these people have lost probably their parents and, like I said, and loved ones, friends. And it's depressing. It's depressing for me, and I'm 52. Like, it's depressing. I tell you, it's depressing during holidays because I don't have my family. It's awful. But show love today. And instead of expecting something in return, like I expect me to show my mother this love, and my mother's mean as a snake or whatever, you don't ever want to have anything that you regret. And although we can't fix the things that we've done in our past, we can fix our future. And if you go into it with the right attitude and not expect anything in return and show kindness, you will be surprised at the difference you're making in that person's life, because you're not a train wreck yourself. And when you show kindness and be mindful of the older population and get in their shoes for just a second. The PTSD that they have been through over the past 70 years, they're walking history books. Sometimes I don't know about you, but sometimes when I need to get my dad to mindfulness, he don't know what mindfulness means, right? He's just spinning out of control. He hasn't had therapy, so he don't know what mindfulness means. All I have to do is tell me about when you were in school. When you were in first grade, what was your teacher's name? And all of a sudden, you're bringing that person to like fun times in their life. Because like with me in my life, if you sit here and go, tell me about your childhood at Christmas, I would have the biggest smile on my face telling you about what it was like to be a child and remember and open up Christmas presents from Santa and what my mom would do and how special my mom and grandmother were for me and all the things. I would sit here and just be like this, telling you. And with my dad or your mom or your grandmother or your grandfather or whatever, all you have to do is go, okay, did you have chickens when you were little? Did you have to go wring the chicken's necks? Like, what was your chore as a child? And the next thing you know, that person is smiling ear to ear, telling you about what they had to do. I had to walk in the snow uphill to get to the bus stop. The kids nowadays, they don't understand. We were in, you know what I'm talking about? And like listening to the good old days and listening to their history about their life, it suddenly begins to bring a smile to your face. And then you begin to understand why they do the things they do. why they're so thrifty, because they grew up in the Depression. And what was the Depression like? My generation has no clue. Well, you go talk to someone who grew up in the Depression and you listen to how blessed we are today versus being brought up in the Depression, and you wonder why they are the way they are. Is because they were brought up in the Depression and they went through so much in life. And listening to those stories, like me talking to my grandmother. I don't know if you follow my personal page, but if you go back 5 years ago to my page, it's me and my grandmother playing Uno. Me and my grandmother used to play Uno all the time. And it was a way for me to stimulate her mind. She loved playing Uno. I couldn't stand it. Okay. Like, I hate playing games like that. But I would play Uno with her and I would record us playing Uno. And it was on my Facebook page because I wasn't letting her win. I was going to beat her down. I was not letting her win Uno. And she was the same way. She was going to beat me. So what we would end up doing is whoever won the Uno game, we would sing, I am the champion. I am the like, she would sing it if she won, and I would sing it if I won. And those are memories that I'm able to hang on to versus her being mean as a snake, because she was mean as a snake, okay, at the end of her life. But I can go back, and as a matter of fact, my grandmother, it was very strange. Like, she never had dementia, and then one day she woke up and was like terrible, didn't know who we were, like, it was terrible. And she went straight downhill and died in a week. It was awful. She was 99. But I remember her being in the nursing home the last week of her life. And I said, do you know who I am? And she said, no. I said, let me remind you. And she's like, okay. And I'll go, I am the champion. And she'd go, I am the champion. She would start singing it back to me, going, I am the champion. I'm like, no, you're not. I am. And suddenly she goes, Judy. And I go, that's right. And she go, oh. And then immediately she'd forget who I was again. But for that second, me singing I am the champion to her, she would remember who I was for a split second. And it would bring joy to her mind, and she would smile ear to ear. And I want you to take those same memories with you. So go to their house, do something for them. I hated playing Uno. I hated every second of it. But that playing Uno was this, as a matter of fact, I still have that video of me singing I am the champion to her when she didn't know who I was on my phone. And often I can go to that video and go, I hated playing Uno, but by God, it's like, it worked. It brought her happiness, and it ended up bringing me happiness. And I stepped out of my comfort zone and played Uno with her and hated every second of it at the time. But now that I can look back, I'm like, those are the best days of my life. I did something I didn't want to do, but it was the best days of my life looking back at my grandmother. And so go play Uno with your grandmother today. Call your mom, call your dad, tell them you love them, because they're not going to be here forever. You have two choices in life. You can sit it out or you can dance. And I hope that when you watch my lives, it makes you want to dance, because sitting here watching you guys comment and all that, it makes me want to dance. You help me dance. It's not just me helping you, but you help me. And you make a difference in my life each and every day. And I thank you for being here. I thank you for watching my videos, liking, commenting, and sharing, because you help me grow to meet the goals that I want to meet. And I said it in my last video, and I won't repeat it, but I have big goals, and my goals is to give back. And I hope that you feel that. I'll see you Monday. Have a great weekend. Love you, and keep dancing.